everyone. I hope everyone's having a nice weekend. Happy Saturday. I wanted to talk to you guys about a pretty common houseplant that's pretty easy to maintain, and it should be pretty easy for everybody to get their hands on. It's a Neanthebella palm, or a Chamaedorea elegans. It's like the houseplant version of the cat palm. A lot of people call it the parlor palm, or just commonly the Neanthebella palm, but it really only gets like maybe a few feet high. I got this one in a little 4-inch container. It was like a little square 4-inch container, and I kept it in there for a few weeks after I had gotten it from the store and kind of let it acclimate to my house. And even when I had just gotten it from the nursery, the roots were like already, you can kind of see them starting to poke out at the bottom. And then when I was watering this, it was pretty apparent that it needed to be, or that it was pretty ready to be kind of transplanted into the next size up, because of course I could see the roots and it was needing water pretty much like every other day. So I went ahead, and luckily this little kind of planter was on clearance for $3, so I went ahead and got 3 of them. And I pair it with this little saucer, clear saucer on the bottom, just because there is a hole on the bottom of this planter, which is nice. It helps with not keeping the plant like waterlogged. So I do recommend that in a planter if you have one that, especially if you're like directly planting your little plant in there, because some people kind of use them just as like cover pots, and they keep the plant in their nursery container inside that pot. I don't really like to do that, because you still have to worry about, like, especially if it has a drainage hole, like if you're only using that as a cover pot and you're like watering the nursery pot, and like the water runs through, that's still gonna run through like onto your just like surfaces and stuff. You're still gonna need one of these trays. So I'm like comfortable enough with just planting it in directly. Like it's what I bought my planter for, and like to consider myself experienced enough that I could get used to the watering, because planting a plant into like a planter directly does come with a warning, just because you don't want to like, it's easier to kind of aerate and remove your plant from water if you kind of have it in that nursery container and you're using this as a cover pot. But if you plant directly, you want to just make sure not to be too heavy-handed with your watering, because especially if it's a planter that's like this nice kind of glazed ceramic, I suppose, kind of planter. It's not really porous like terracotta or a cement planter, and it just retains more moisture than like the nursery container. So just be careful not to be too heavy-handed or anything like that. But yeah, it's been one of my favorite houseplants, just because you can really see with all the fronds and everything, there's just so much new growth to be looking at, and to kind of check up on every day. It's even gotten taller since I've gotten it. I'd say like, yeah, about like all of this is newer growth to have noticed ever since have gotten it. And you can see that it's a little bit leaning this way, just because it was the time of the week to go ahead and kind of turn it so that it starts reaching towards the sunlight, which is, at least in this case, this ways. So it'll kind of straighten out a little bit. But if you're going to be growing this outside, it's kind of hardy and cold tolerant in USDA zones 10 through 12. And so indoors, it's kind of recommended just to keep it around 65 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, of course. And, just keep it in some soil that is relatively well enough draining, but can also retain some moisture, because it doesn't like to be too dry. I think maybe in the spring I might kind of try to make a little planter with incorporating this. I could kind of see this kind of going along pretty well with, of course, many ferns, prayer plants, a visit from Lucky Cat, of course. But some ferns, some prayer plants, some pothos, all that kind of stuff. Things that can tolerate the shade, and maybe part sun a little bit, or the early morning sun, definitely not the afternoon sun. That's going to be a little too strong for this. I actually have this in I guess an eastern facing window, so it gets a lot of morning sun, and that's about it. You don't really want to give it afternoon sun. It's probably going to burn up a little bit. So like I was saying in the beginning, this is really only going to get a few feet tall, so it does usually make like a pretty nice office or house plant, you know, depending on where you like it. If you like something kind of on the smaller to medium scale. I was going to actually make this video a 2 for like a double plant video, because I have something that pairs very, very nicely with this, but my teaser is that it's very hard to get on camera, so I'm gonna save that for another video, but hopefully that gets y'all excited, because it's quite the plant and it goes very well with this. So that's really just about it. I'm gonna check to make sure I didn't forget anything on my notes. I mean, just a fun fact that it's, you know, native to southern Mexico and to Guatemala and such. So that kind of gives you an idea of their ideal growing temperatures or growing climates and such. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for tuning into this video. I hope you all have a very nice rest of your weekend, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye.